Wednesday is our final show of the 2023 college football season. So let's throw it to James and we'll talk a little bit about our bowl game and the rest of the calendar year.
Sadly, the last week, but it's a joyous occasion because that means the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl is right around the corner, December 29th at noon. And each week, I myself at Big Game James _36 and Greg McGarity bring you the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl Drive to Selection presented by Toyota, where we've talked about college football and we've talked about how it could shape this game. And the game is finally, well, the teams are selected. The game's not here, but we finally know, and a lot of assumptions and a lot of guesses can now kind of go to bed because every bowl is picked and we know exactly what we're getting. So how are you doing today?
Doing great now that we know who we have, and planning's underway. So far so good.
Well, that's a great segue. What is some of the planning? Like, what are some of the things that go behind the scenes to a bowl game, and what are some of the things that these young men will be able to do when they come to the great city of Jacksonville?
Well, the two teams have already been here to work on their advanced planning. Kentucky got their work done yesterday. Clemson was here for 2 days. So they're both in the planning stages for everything they're doing. Kentucky has some familiarity with our bowl because they were here in 2020, even though it was a COVID year. And they were here in 2018. Clemson hadn't been here in a while, so everything was new to them. And anyway, I really believe they thought they were going to San Diego. So their plans had to change pretty quickly on Sunday. But it's a great time for these young people. They get to go out to Mayport one day, they'll do Top Golf one day, and the rest of the time they have practice, time to just chill out with their friends and be able to enjoy the two venues where they're staying. So it's going to be a great time had by all.
Well, I mean, making all your plans on Sunday and thinking you're going one place and then changing it is kind of crazy. Walk us through what Sunday was like here at Gator Bowl headquarters.
Well, we looked at the prognosticators and everything was trending towards North Carolina and Tennessee. I think everyone had predicted that, assuming that FSU would be in the Final Four, which we all assumed. And so I think a lot of people, once FSU won, were already kind of in that mode where they're going to be in. And then at 12:30, that all changed. So we knew then that Louisville would not be in the Orange Bowl. Mm-hmm. So that sent another SEC team, we thought, up into the New Year's Day 6. So that propelled Ole Miss up. So there, the dominoes started falling after that. So that really led us to really know pretty certain that Kentucky was going to be here. So that side was, I think, determined pretty easily. The ACC side was where it really got complex, and we had a long conference call with the ACC office that started around 2:45, and we ended up around 4 with the final decision there. But Louisville then had to be in the selection pool, in the premium pool between us, San Diego, and Orlando. And then you had NC State with 9 wins, you had Notre Dame with 9 wins, and then Clemson was now in the pool because they had to have 4 teams in the pool. They were in ahead of North Carolina because they beat them head on. Mm-hmm. So you really had 4 teams in the pool, which really changed things. And so we couldn't take Notre Dame because they were here last year. NC State couldn't go to San Diego. So it really, and we couldn't have Louisville because we had Kentucky on the SEC side. Mm. So it narrowed our choices down to Clemson and NC State. So by the time the jigsaw puzzle was filled, Notre Dame dropped out of the premium pool. They were still in the pool, but they dropped out of the selection by the 3 bowls, by Orlando, us, and San Diego, just due to a lot of contractual language. And that's probably the best way to say it because I really can't explain how they dropped out. But due to contractual language in the ACC, they did drop out. So NC State could not go to San Diego because they were there 2 years ago. So that sent Louisville to the West Coast. It sent Orlando had NC State, and then we took Clemson, and We were able to make that announcement around 4 o'clock on Sunday, and then got to work right after that.
So, by FSU being just outside of the top 4 for the selection, that kind of just sent the whole thing
Across the board. I mean, for every ACC team that was planning for their bowl, they probably just threw those plans out the window and started over 4 o'clock on Sunday.
So, how does that affect? Because we obviously know there's a bowl gift that's given to each school, which most conferences do a revenue share when it comes to that. How much, or generally, how much money could have been lost potentially on the ACC side because you went from having 2 teams that would have been in the New Year's Six to having only 1 team?
It's significant. I don't know the exact dollars, but the more teams obviously you have in the college football playoff in the top 4 or the top 12, going to the New Year's Day Bowl makes a tremendous difference financially. So I don't know exactly what the numbers, but it's a significant revenue loss and probably a significant revenue gain for the SEC.
No,
now with 4 teams up. So I'm not sure the exact numbers, but it is significant.
Well, that's tough. Outside of that, it was actually a pretty good weekend of football with obviously not leaving out any drama. Georgia, Alabama lived up to what I believe the expectations were. I think
over 22 million viewers of that game. It was one of the highest rated games ever.
Oh wow!
On TV. So those are approaching NFL numbers. If you have that many, because it was one of the few games that was really close.
Mm-hmm.
I know the Orange Bowl was close, but you look what Texas did. They romped through.
Oklahoma State.
So you had. It was a great day of football, but some games were kind of lopsided. Others were really tight.
Yeah, I won't even lie. The ACC championship was tough to watch. From an offensive standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, it was. I got to give Adam Fuller, our defensive coordinator, his flowers. It was a defensive masterpiece.
Yeah,
I have
you're right.
not seen that kind of abuse done to somebody in quite some time, especially with Louisville having one of the top offenses in the nation. But going to our game, Clemson. What are some of the things that Clemson brings from an athletic standpoint, obviously for the game, but also from a fan base standpoint, from things that them coming to the River City?
Well, proximity. I know Clemson recruits the state of Florida very hard. They're coming off 4 wins in a row, so their fans should be very excited. They can drive here. That's even better. And an opportunity to play in an NFL stadium, and obviously both schools have great connections with the Jaguars. So I think that adds a little excitement to it. And then on 2 days after our game, the Jags play the Panthers. So there's a connection there with the fans that are in the North Carolina area could be able to watch that game here.
Just stay here a little longer, make the extended stay. So with obviously Trevor Lawrence being that connection to Clemson and Travis Etienne, 2 pretty darn good pieces here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. With Kentucky, talk a little bit about Kentucky. What do they bring, and what is exciting about them coming to the River City as well?
Well, the resiliency, I think, after losing a difficult game against South Carolina, for them to bounce back and beat their rival, Louisville, who was really playing for a lot, but they really played a great game. Offensively put, I think, 38 points on the board and upset Louisville. But I think, having Coach Stoops stay at the University of Kentucky and then trying to get to 8 wins, and 8 wins might get you ranked. And I know that's a huge benefit for your resume to be able to say we finished ranked in the top 25, and I think that's at risk for both schools. Clemson's already ranked, but if they upset, I think Clemson would be favored in the game. But I too think it's going to be a defensive game, just based on how good both teams play defense.
Extremely good, especially Mark Stoops, again, with the connection to FSU. Great defensive mind, been in Kentucky for a while. Both coaches have been there for a while. Both coaches have their own bit of charisma that they add to this. Yeah. For me, it was an interesting matchup, because what I got on Sunday I've never been asked for tickets to a Gator Bowl before, so this was but on one side I have a good friend. They're big Clemson fans. They were like, "Hey, how do I go about getting tickets to this Gator Bowl?" And then my son's godfather ran track in Kentucky, so he's like, "I got to get here to this game and be able to cheer on the alma mater." So, when do the teams show up? Obviously, the game is December 29th at noon. When do the teams show up, and kind of how does that whole process work?
I think both teams are going to be here Christmas Eve and be able to start working out on Christmas Day. And then obviously with the game on Friday the 29th. So I think they're going to be here a little earlier to where they can enjoy some great Florida weather, enjoy the beaches, and have a little fun and practice. And both teams are taking the game very seriously. So I think that's a very positive sign of where both know that they can really have a huge jump start on the 24 season with a good performance here.
And that's really what I think people got to come back and remember. The reason for the season. The reason for the season is to get a jump start on next year. You get a chance, 15 practices, to be able to see what that next generation of guys can do. That's basically a spring. That's the beautiful thing about bowls. And also to be able to give hope for what's coming on next. So if you didn't like the way your season ended, you could get a jump start and end with some positivity, and you're in the great state of Florida where you can recruit, because what we do is we produce athletes here. So what are the things that we're doing with the Gator Bowl charities surrounding this game?
Well, our dream team there, we kind of feature those 12 youngsters that are dealing with some life-altering challenges, and we'll be able to sponsor and feature them throughout the week. I Send a Child of a Game initiative to send busloads of young people to the game and feed them and provide some clothing and be able to go to the game. We'll honor our teachers. We'll have a military pregame that CSX is sponsoring this year. So a lot of things around the game that'll really be beneficial, but really our efforts locally, even with the local military, we're hoping that everyone in Jacksonville that's working downtown might could get off a little early on the 29th and come to the game. So we're working with the local groups to try to see what we can do to just encourage people to come by and drop by and watch a little football before they go home for the holidays.
A little lunchtime football there. Also, we appreciate with the MFTK Foundation, we're going to send 40 kids to this game and feeding them and give them a ride. I know people like that. And all the other different charities. It's been a wonderful year as far as college football goes. Not remiss of drama, but that's the beautiful thing about college. But it's great what the Gator Bowl Foundation and what we've been able to do with Gator Bowl charities, and we're surrounding this good game. So Clemson, Kentucky, ACC, SEC, great matchup. We'll see you here. We'll see you also, I guess, next year with me and Craig McGarrett, who will come back and we'll do the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl Drive to Selection presented by Toyota. Have a great holiday.
Segment. We're going to close with some pretty cool things happening in Gator Bowl charities this year. First, we're going to talk about the upcoming Send a Child to the Game program at this year's TaxSlayer Gator Bowl. So as part of Gator Bowl charities, we bring about 1,200 kids and their families to the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl game through the program Send a Child to the Game. They get a ticket to the game, transportation to and from the game, as well as fed by Chick-fil-A pregame and a commemorative t-shirt. James's foundation, Mentor for the Kids, all right, is a recipient this year. Do you want to share a little bit about what you guys do in your foundation?
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff for educational support and resources for kids in disadvantaged communities. We also try to incentivize, so we have our Christmas Gifts for Good Grades initiative, but also for kids who are in the community who have done very, very good. We're going to take this opportunity to let them go see a football game and get wine and dine and have a great time.
No wine.
But no wine for the kids.
I promise, no wine for the kids. But it's their first year participating in the program, so it'll be great to host them here on December 29th. Additionally, this is not y'all's first visit with James on the Off the Field segment. We're going to revisit something we talked about earlier in the year, and that is Jack Coleman, and a member of our dream team in our partnership with Dreams Come True. And so I think little did we know, we met you first. Yeah. Then we met Jack not long after when he signed his letter of intent to be on the dream team, and you guys met.
Yeah,
And the rest is history, right?
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I was at doing the networking that you should do if you're a part of the Chairman's Club, and actually begrudgingly I came, and then I was talking and I heard the story, got a chance to meet the family, great family, and I said, hey, if going to an FSU game is something you want to do, we can make that happen. That's probably one of the easier things that I could do. Little did I know that it would actually balloon and blossom into what it was, and I got a chance to get to know the Coleman family, no relation, but I feel like I'm like an adopted uncle now or something like that. But just a great story, awe-inspiring story of strength, and the kid going through perseverance. That kid's got big things ahead of him. I also learned that, a blind kid might know more about football than I do. So he's very intelligent, very strong. I look forward to even continue to grow that relationship, and I'm grateful for Gator Bowl Charities and Dreams Come True.
So if you have not seen the segment, Jack's story was told on College Game Day last Saturday, preceding championship weekend. It's linked below. Please, I think it's about 5 minutes long. Please take the time to watch it. It will be life-changing for you to see what your experience and getting him to FSU did for this young man. And further, Jack and his fellow dreamers will be recognized on the field at this year's TaxSlayer Gator Bowl as part of this year's dream team. So we look forward to seeing all of you there. Tickets are still available. See you on the 29th.